Okay, good morning, friends. So let's once again start with our uh, capsule dosage form. In last session, we have understood a very basic concept of sync condition with reference to our ongoing evaluation test of capsule dosage form, that is dissolution, right? So in last session, we discuss about the sync condition and its role, and uh, what is its connection with reference to method of performing dissolution test. Okay, so now let's move to the another part of test, that is acceptance criteria, which is again the crucial. So with reference to Indian pharmacopoeia, these acceptance criteria are divided in three categories. So the first one, that is for the conventional release dosage form. So these basically categories are based on the novel drug delivery, or you can say controlled drug delivery system, and this first one is for the conventional release dosage forms. So when we say performing the dissolution test, so as we discussed in last session, we put the tablets or capsule or whatever the formulation for which we are going to perform the dissolution in our ongoing session. Let's say we are going to place capsule in our dissolution test apparatus. So initially we start with the 6 capsule, and we place the capsule in each of the individual basket, and depending upon the our requirement, either we have to select apparatus 1 or apparatus 2, and we start the trials and on various intervals like 10 minute or 15 minute, whatever the suitable or given in individual monograph, we have to select the sample, means we have to withdraw the sample, and as we discussed, to maintain the sync condition, we have to replace the exactly same amount of fresh media once we withdraw the sample, right? Then we have to filter that sample to remove the particles if they may present in our sample, and then we have to analyze that sample for the amount or percentage drug dissolved at particular time. So this is the basic method. Now suppose we have performed that part, and based on that we have calculated the percentage drug dissolved. So what are the criteria as per the Indian pharmacopoeia to pass this dissolution test or label it as a fail? So now let's first discuss the first category in acceptance criteria, that is for the conventional release dosage form, where the release is not modified with the help of some polymer or any of the means. So as stated here, unless or otherwise stated in an individual monograph, the requirement are met if the quantities of active substance dissolved from the dosage unit as per the table 1. So we will see shortly what is the criteria given in the table 1 of the Indian pharmacopoeia. But in case the criteria as per the table 1 is not satisfied, then what other options are? So we have to continue the test with the additional dosage unit through stage 2, and still if it is not complying with the dissolution criteria, then another you can say last options available is up to the stage 3, right? So this is about the general which is applicable to any of the dosage form. But as far as concerned to capsule, so the very specific statements also given in Indian pharmacopoeia, and it is like where the capsule cells interfere with the analysis, right? So it might be possible sometime that because of the colors or preservative or any of the component which is present in the gelatin or capsule shell, right? So it might be possible that they interfere with the analytical method. Say for example, if we are going to perform analysis through UV spectrophotometer, and it might be possible that the color or coloring agent which is present or preservative which are present within the gelatin shell may interfere or have a same kind of absorption lambda value, right? So it may interfere with the analysis. So in such case, the statement is given in a pharmacopoeia. We have to remove the capsule or let's say content within the gelatin, and again, as I told you, we are going to see the table 1 criteria, but we always start with the 6 units of any of the dosage form. So we have to remove the content from the not less than 6 capsule, and then that content should be added within the dissolution media, and we have to calculate or perform the dissolution test, and then we have to calculate the amount dissolved, right? So now let's move to the table 1. What are that table 1? So this table 1 is nothing but summarize the exact acceptance criteria for the conventional dosage form. So in stage 1, so let's say we start with the 6 unit of our dosage form, either tablet, capsule or other solid dosage form. So in stage 1 we started with the 6 number of units, and the acceptance criteria is each unit is not less than D plus 5%. Now what is this D? D is a allowed limit which is generally specified in specific monograph. Let's say in case of paracetamol, for example, if D value is given like 85%, so and the time limit also they provide in individual pharmacopoeia, say for example 30 minutes. So the allowed limit which represent the acceptance of this dissolution test is 95, or let's say as we discussed 85 plus or minus 5%, right? So this D value is nothing but the percentage that must be dissolved within stipulated time, and this D value are specified in individual monograph of particular drug, but the maximum allowed variation is plus or minus 5%. But the another important thing we need to note here is every unit means none of these 6 should lies outside this allowed limit. So every unit, each unit should not be less than at least 85 plus 5%, right? If any one of this unit, let's say 5 of the capsule passes this criteria and just one capsule failed it, then we can consider that 5 have already passed, so we can pass, or we can tag it as a pass in case of dissolution test. We have to move further. If any of the unit fails to meet this criteria, then we have to perform the dissolution with the another 6 unit, that is stage 2, right? We have to continue the dissolution test with the another 6 unit, and this time the acceptance criteria is average of 12 units. So which 12? This 6 plus another 6. So average of this 12 unit is equal to or greater than D, right? So the total average must be equal or greater than this allowed limit, and no unit, not a single unit should be less than D minus 15%, right? So not a single unit should lies below the 15% of the allowed limit, percentage dissolve limit, right? So this is the criteria, and still if it fails, right? Let's say allowed criteria is no unit. So if let's say for example one tablet or capsule lies outside this allowed limit, then we have to go further and we have to now in stage 3 have to perform the dissolution test with 12 unit. So 6 plus 6 plus 12, so total now 24, and the criteria is something similar. Average of 24 unit must be equal or greater than the allowed limit D, and not and further criteria added here is more than 2 unit and should be less than D minus 15, and no unit should be less than D minus 25. So what are the difference between this stage 2 and stage 3's acceptance criteria is this average is a common average of 12 units should be equal to or greater than D, and here similar average of 24 units should be equal or greater than D. But in case the rest of the acceptance criteria in stage 2, none of the units should be less than 15% of the allowed limit, while in stage 3 there are some sort of relaxation is given up to the 2 unit, not more than 2 is written here. So up to the 2 unit it is acceptable if the percentage of amount dissolved is up to the 15% at lower side. The sign is minus. So if it is a 85% is a allowed limit, then up to the, let's say, 70% is fine for at least 2 unit. And out of these 2 unit, it is very clear no more than 2. So if more than 2, if third capsule is below the 15% of allowed limit, then it is totally you can say failure in dissolution test. But if 2 capsules are below the 15% of allowed limit in even this 2 unit, we need to check further that no unit should be less than 25% of the allowed limit. तो 15% तक अगर वो बिलो टू जो अलाउड लिमिट के 15% नीचे है वो जा सकते हैं अप टू 2 यूनिट, बट वो जो नीचे जा रहा है उसमें से भी एक भी यूनिट नॉट अ सिंगल यूनिट शुड बी लेस देन दी D minus 25%, पर 25% से नीचे एक भी नहीं होना चाहिए. जो लोअर साइड है that should be 15%, right? So this is the acceptance criteria. If our dissolution test, if our capsule pass this all these 3 stage, right, then we can say our dissolution test is passed, dissolution for the particular batch. So this is acceptance criteria for the you can say conventional release dosage form. Now in similar case we are not going to discuss about the rest of the 3 category, that is prolonged release dosage form. So as I said you, in Indian pharmacopoeia there are basically 3 categories are generally considered with reference to the controlled release or release pattern. One is the conventional release, another is a prolonged, and another is the modified release dosage form. So we right now not going to discuss rest of these 2 category, and I suggest you to go through the Indian pharmacopoeia for these 2 category for, let's say, understanding the acceptance criteria. Why we are skipping it? Because we are right now considering the capsule as our chapter, and very few formulation, or let's say rare formulations, are available in the market which are considered as a modified release capsule dosage form. So this release modification is mostly significant in case of tablet dosage form, and you will learn this entire test in detail in the chapter of tablet dosage form. So right now we are skipping this prolonged release dosage form and modified release dosage form, and we are concluding this dissolution test here with this one criteria, that is for the conventional release dosage form. So now we will look into the another part, that is how this test is let's say described in other pharmacopoeias, for example in US pharmacopoeia or British pharmacopoeia. So this kind of exercise we already did in case of disintegration test. So let's move to the other pharmacopoeia.